Okay, in this video we will be discussing one of the attack vector, one of the method that we can use for privilege escalation in Linux. Like, let's say we get the initial access on Linux, we will be then applying that method, which is path hijacking. So in this specific video we will be discussing in detail all about the path hijacking. Okay, so let's first of all discuss what path variable is. So imagine you type the ls in your terminal. Linux needs to find the actual program file called Linux somewhere on your hard drive, but where, as you might know, when we just type the ls program to just kind of list the stuff in the directories. Okay, we just type the ls program without specifying the full path of this ls program. How does this even gets executed? There are like hundreds or thousands of folder on the Linux. Does Linux search all of those folder to find out the ls program and execute it for us, or how does it like work? Have you ever thought about this? So basically it does not search all of those directories that is present on the Linux. Instead it just searches through some specific directories. Whenever we type the ls program, the Linux automatically searches for this ls program in some specific directories, and those directories are stored in this path. Okay, so path is basically a variable where we have stored all of those directory, where we tell to Linux, whenever we run the most frequently used tools or command, you have to look for them in the specific path. Okay, basically path is a list of folders separated by colons. Okay, so if you want to see the path, the different folders, just we will just type the you will just type the echo and then the dollar sign and then the path, and then you will see the path that Linux usually that the Linux looks for the command that the Linux searches in. So this right here is one folder. Okay, first of all Linux searches the ls program in this directory. First of all, okay, it goes from left to right, and then you see right here this colon, it means this is this is another directory. It will then come over here and searches for the ls program. If it finds out the ls program here, good to go, it will just execute that. But if it does not, it will move then to this folder. Okay, and then this and then this and then this. So finally, if the Linux finds out the ls program over here, it will run it. The critical point here is that Linux basically runs the first match it finds. So let's say one ls program is here, this is the real one. Okay, and somebody somehow put another fake ls program over here in this directory. So when we type the ls program, the Linux will look into all of these directory, and since the fake ls program will be stored here, it will just execute that. The Linux does not care, it just kind of matches the name and execute it. And this is the entire foundation of path hijacking. If you get a folder you control to appear before the real system folder in path, you create a fake version of any command and Linux runs your version instead of the real one. So this is the same thing as I told you just right now. The original ls program stored here, we created our fake one here. Okay, so as I told you, the Linux searches from left to right. So the first directory it will check is this. So this will be the first. It will have our fake ls program, and then Linux will execute before reaching to the real ls program. Okay, hope this makes sense. So here is one more important thing to understand, is that path hijacking only does not will give you the privilege escalation to the root. Okay, path hijacking, what path hijacking does, it instead lets you run your own code. Like for example, I gave you the example of ls program. You just create your malicious ls program, whatever you type in it does not matter, but the Linux will execute it. But since it executes with your permission, you are a low privilege user, it will do nothing. Okay, so this is the important thing. What we need to do is we need to combine the path hijacking with something. The escalation happen when you combine it with SUID binary. So what this SUID binary mean is this run as actually the owner of the SU binary. This is another executable file it is talking about. So this file must be this file must run as admin, okay, or I mean root. So this is one condition, okay. Another condition for this specific file is, one is it will must run as root. Another is that same file or binary will call a command or tool or file or anything by name only, with and not with the full path. And what I mean by that is, you can see right here, instead of using the full path, like this is the thm file, instead of calling by the full path, it will just call it by thm, okay. If you specify the full path, it will just go there and it just know this full specific path, it will just go there and call the program or the file from this. But if you just put the file name, what it's gonna do is, it will the same way the Linux find the ls program in the path using the path, it will then do for this as well. It will use the path and searches for this thm file. So this executable file which run as root, okay, that has the SUID enable, will call this thm file, and Linux will look for the thm using the path. So first of all, we need to actually find out the SUID binary that run as root. The owner of that must be root, and the SUID must be enabled on it. The reason SUID must need to be enabled on that, since we are a low privilege guy, if we run that file, it will then run as root. So it will then call this file using the path. And what we're gonna do is, since it does not have a specific path, we will just like what we're gonna do is, we will add a fake path, a fake folder in the path, okay. First of all, the first folder the Linux will look for is will be our fake folder. I'm just gonna do the practical of this, it will make sense in a bit. So I'm just gonna explain the theory of this first of all. So it will just first of all the check for the thm file in our fake directory that we put in the path, okay. So once it finds out the thm, this SUID binary will execute our thm file. Whatever is in this, it will get executed, and we will get the root shell. Okay, so you see right here, I have this Kali Linux machine, and what we're gonna be doing is, since we don't have the SUID binary that will run as root, we're gonna create the scenario for ourselves, okay. So this right here, this small code you see right here, this will act as the SUID binary that will run as root that we talk about in the guide, okay. So this will be that binary, and the file this will call is the thm. So let's just first of all finish this, and then we will do with the and then we will later create the thm file, okay. So I have this terminal right here, you see this, I have the root access, and what I'm gonna do is, so before we'll be making actually this file, okay. First of all, I'm just gonna show you the actual path that we are discussing about. So I'm gonna type the echo, okay, echo, and then the $sign as I told you, and then the path. This path is the variable, okay. So it will show me the actual path. Now for this machine, the path that is being set is this specific, okay. So it will just look in these two directories. Now we don't care about this whatever directory these have, we can set our fake folder in this path. Let's just make this binary, and then once we compile this, we will then enable the SUID on this. I'm gonna type the nano, and then let's call it shell.c, okay, or I should instead call it path.c, does not matter, these are just name. Now we have the file open, let's just include the content of this, which is include, okay, include unist.h, and then this sign, I'm just gonna write this code from here to here. So then void main this, okay, and then this bracket, and then this bracket, okay. Let's just do like this and type the set uid parenthesis 0, and then the semicolon, and then set gid 0 and semicolon, and then system like this, and let's just do thm inside that. So this thm's file will be being called by this specific binary. Now let me just save it by pressing the Control X and then Y and then enter. Perfect. So now just to verify, let's just type the cat and then the path.c. okay, first of all, we made the file path.c, we put the content, we put the path. What this will do is this will first of all it will set the UID user ID to 0, then it will set the GID to 0, and after that it will call the THM file. So by the time it calls the THM, it will the ID, the GID and UID user ID will be 0, and whatever is in this, like for example this let's say this is a shell. Okay, we have type that whenever it is being called, just give us the shell. So since the ID will be 0, both of the GID and UID, this will give us the root shell. So now it's time to compile it. To compile it, we're gonna use the GCC compiler and then specify the file that we just created, which is path.c, and then we need the output as just path. Okay, and then the W. Perfect. So let me just type the ls, and you see right here we got the path binary. Now one more thing to do with the path binary is to enable the SUID on that. To do so, we're going to type the chmod u plus s and then the file name. So now let's just confirm it by typing the ls/h, and this is the path and this is the it, and you see right here the SUID is enabled on it. And the other people okay, this since this is created by root, other people, right, you see it will, they can execute this binary. Now I am creating a scenario. As I told you, we just created this file and we will assume, like right now we are a root user, we have total privilege, highest privileges. We will actually create a new user. Okay, and to that new user directory, in any of the home directory of that new user, we will move this specific path file, since this will run and execute as admin because of the SUID. That normal user will execute this path file, this path binary, and this path will then look for the THM file that we talk about. So the another user, what that user will do is they will just create the TMP file, the malicious THM file, and then place and then specify the path. I'm just gonna show you. Okay, so all I need is we created this file. Now I need to create a new user by user add and then the m. This will, the -m will just add the home directory to this new user. Let's call this user trash. Okay, so this new user name is trash. Okay, so it is telling me to use the full path. Now this is the same thing that I am telling you, the path thing, the path hijacking. So if this were ls program, okay, so if I type the ls program, this won't ask me the full path, but I have used this another command. It is asking me to specify the full path of this program. Since this is not in the path, this is why it is telling me that I did not found this. So you have to write the full path of this program, so then I can run it. Otherwise I don't know what this is and where it is. So we got two paths. The user add is in both of these places. I'm just going with the s/user add and then the m and then the trash user. Okay, so it created this trash user. Now let's just give it a password, trash. Now we created the user, but we don't have set the password. Now this will set the password. I'm just going to type 123. Okay, and then 123 again. So we successfully created a new user. I'm just gonna go create another terminal and type this switch user to trash. Okay, and let's just get the base shell like this, and let's just type the 1 2. So you see right here we are a trash, the new user. Now basically what I want is that you see right here I have this specific path that we just created, the path binary. Okay, and this is a root user and this is the low privilege user that we just created and has very low permission. So what I'm gonna do is I will transfer or move this path file from here to here just by let me use the cp root or just path, since it is we are in this place already, and then to where to home. Okay, to home, and then the trash user, and then the etc directory. Okay, and then the path. No, it's not etc, and I mean temp. Okay, Okay, I just moved this path file that we created on this root shell, and this is not a root shell, this is a low privilege, and finally we can see it has the SUID enabled. Okay, so let me clear this and this as well. Okay, and let me drag this one right here and close this one. So now what we're gonna do is, since we created the path file that will call the thm file without the path, so it will actually basically look for the thm file using this path variable. So the path binary will first of all look in this place, the thm file, then this, and one by one it will check in all of them. So let's just call the path. Is it there right here? Let's just type the lsh. The SUID is enabled, the owner of the path is root. Okay, so we'll be looking for, when we get the initial access on a Linux machine, we'll be looking for a file that looks like something like this. Okay, it calls a file by just name, not a full path. Okay, and also has the SUID enabled and also run as root. So it is like more rare you will see something like this, very less likely, but this is one of the way I wanted to cover. We are just assuming we got the initial access on this Linux and we found this path, this file that run as root, I mean has the SUID enabled, and also look for a file just by name, not by specific path. So I'm just gonna run this path. Okay, so it just said that thm not found. Now I just check the thm file here and all of this. So what I'm gonna do is move to the cd tmp directory. Okay, and then here what we will do is we will create that thm file that is not found by the path binary. So I'm just gonna type the nano and the thm. Okay, now I'm just gonna type the /bin. Okay, /bash. First of all, let me close this. I don't want to save it, and type the bash, like where is the bash shell full path. So this is the bash shell full path, user bin/bash. And now let's do this, and user bin/bash. Okay, now we are done with this. Let's just save it now. So the file that the path will look for, the path will execute, is this file, which is the thm file, and its content is this. So basically it will give us the base shell. Since the id of user will become 0 and the gid as well, and then it will call the thm, and thm is actually a bash. This will give us the base shell. I'm just gonna give it the read write permission to everyone so that everyone can read write execute this thm file. Okay, now let's just confirm it, just verify it if it is like that or no. Yep, it is that. So it's just time for one another last step, which is, let me just move back one like this. So we have this path, and if I type the path again, it will say not found. Okay, you see right here, even we have the thm file, but the reason it is not getting the file from the thm directory is the thm directory is not present in the path variable. I'm just gonna show you once again. So you see right here, we don't have the path, the thm in this path. So what we will be doing is, in this path hijacking, the full thing, the main thing is, we'll add the path folder over here at the very first. So when we add the thm, the temp folder over here, and execute this, it will just get the thm file then. So to add the tmp folder in this path variable, what we're going to do is, I have this, or where is that command? Okay, yeah, it is right there. So we will type the export. So when you type the export, this will, the child process that gets run from the current terminal will also get use this path tmp file as well. So it means the, like for example, when the bash shell will get executed, it will be a child process, and for the child process to get the path to tmp folder, we're gonna include the export. Okay, so I'm just gonna add this, and like this, if you add the /tmp after the path, it will mean that you are adding the tmp folder just at the end of this path, but I want to add it at first, so I'm just typing here. Okay, so let's make a scenario, another one. Let's say there are two THM file. One is the malicious one, and one is the legitimate one. Okay, so assume the legitimate one is present in any of these directory, and we want our THM or malicious THM to be executed by this path. So what we're gonna do is add the THM folder just at the very front of the path. So we execute this will look use the path, and path will look for the thm file, and the very first folder it will look will be the tmp folder, and in the tmp folder it will find the thm file. It will execute that, and it will just stop that without reaching over here to the legitimate thm file. Okay, so I'm gonna do this, and it will add the tmp folder. Let's just verify it. You see right here we have added the tmp folder over here. Now if I run the path binary, it will actually look for, it will find the thm file. Perfect. So we got the root. What it does is we executed this. Okay, it set the id, user id, group id to 0, and then it found the thm file in this tmp folder, and it gave us in tmp folder we set to give us the bash shell, and it gave us the bash shell as root. If I type the id, we see you see right here we are a root user. So this is how path hijacking works. This is a bit more complex. I mean, not very complex, but there are a lot of condition you need to satisfy in order to like do this attack or this method for privilege escalation. Like you need a binary, a program that the owner of that has, which is owned by a root, and also has the SUID enable, and then also that binary also look for a file, not for a fixed or specific path, but instead for just by the name. Okay, so there are like so many condition, and you I mean it's worth just to check it out if there are any, but I don't know if that might be very common. I think it's more like rare case. So this is how it works. Okay, so I just want to start this machine, the vulnerable machine, to the path hijacking method. I just started that, and we will be this is actually the IP, and we don't have the GI of that, but instead we will be accessing it through the SSH. Okay, so I just demonstrate this, and I'm just gonna do this now to get the actually the flag content, and this one as well, the another answer as well. So I just got this. I will type the SSH, and then the, since the username is Karen, which just say right here, and then the IP which I copied from above it this. Okay, it's SSH, and the password now is password.1. Perfect. Now we are this Karen user, and what we're gonna do is figure out the binary that is that has the SUID enable and run as root. So for that, as you might know, we're gonna run this command. It will look for, so I'm just going to first of all type the bash, and then the, I'm just kind of looking for the file that will run as a root. Okay, so find, and then in the first we are starting from the root directory, and what we are trying to find out is let's specify the permission this. Okay, u equal s, and then let's specify the file name. Is that s or minus okay, s, and then specify the file name, which type I'm just going to search for the files. Okay, and then let's do this tell null. So we will get a bunch of them that run as SUID. So let's look for, okay, in the last one this looks interesting, this right here. So I'm just gonna do this cd slash home slash this guy, whatever its name is, and let's just do the lslaH, and we have this test binary that run that has SUID, and the owner of that is root. Okay, so that is what we will be looking for. Now let's try to run it and see what it's gonna do. So it says the same thing, thm not found. I'm just gonna create the thm the fake thm in the tmp folder. Okay, the same thing, we are here, and now I'm just gonna type the echo slash. First of all, I want to see the full path of the bash, which bash, and now I can just type the echo this and bin and bash. So the same thing we did for the another user. This is the same thing. Okay, so this will do the echo of this, and then we want to save it in a file called thm. Now let's just look for the thm file content. Perfect, we see this, and let's try to rerun it again. Home slash rock. I just don't know how do we get back. Okay, we are here now, and I'm just gonna move to cd murdoch. Here I wanna type the ls, and then let's rerun the test binary. Okay, it says again not found. So I think it's the same problem. It is not getting we have to add the fake path in the path variable. I'm just gonna first of all check what is in the path of variable by typing the echo and then the dollar sign and then the path. So there are a bunch of folders but not the tmp, so export and then the path equal to equal slash tmp and then the dollar sign and then the path. Okay, and let's, okay, it is export export. Now let's verify that by this. Okay, it is there, and let's rerun the test binary. Okay, what's the problem? We try to run it but it is not, we are getting permission denied error. Let's type the lslah. Okay, I think the reason is because we don't have the execute permission for this, so that is why maybe one of the reason we are getting the error. I just wanna give the chmod read execute permission to user group and the other as well to the thm file. Let's move to home slash murdoch or whatever that guy is, ls, and then let's rerun the, let me first of all clear it and then rerun the test dot. Okay, I think we got the root. Let's verify it. Perfect, we are root on this machine as well. Okay, now we need to look for this specific flag 6.txt. I hope you can see that. For that I'm just gonna type the find and then this and then specify the name, which is flag 6.txt, and then this and this and then this. Okay, it is flag not flat, my mistake. Okay, it is right there. I'm just gonna use the cat command and slash home. Let me just specify the full path. Mat, it is in the mat directories. Bro, what? Bro, it is flag 605. So we got the content. I'm just gonna type the flag 6 content, which is thm-736628929. Perfect. And we have another question. I hope you can see that. What is the odd folder you have write access for? So it is saying that try to list all of the folders that you can write to, and then verify, like look for a file that is like kind of not very familiar. So I'm just going to go with this command. Okay, because it will list the writable file in the, like it will sort out this command alphabetically. So let's find it out first. Let's do declare, and then the command is find slash writable and this dev slash null grep command. No, yeah, the pipe command grep and usr again pipe, and then the cut d and then the this and hyphen f23 this sort you. Okay, I think I did something wrong with the command. Instead I will just copy this one and let's rerun it. So basically it is saying to look for this file name. Okay, this look unfamiliar, and you can write to, since we got the test binary over here, and we will able to write to that directory. So it is saying this folder. Okay, so I'm just going to type this murdoc. So that's that. I hope this makes sense, and if you have any question, let me know. I will make sure to answer you. See you in the next video.